Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to go into public hearing?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Reading of Howard County FY26 proposed tax levy hearing. Is there any other comments? Chance for the public to speak?
I have a question.
State your name, please.
Jeff, you want to come up to the chair and state your name?
This is.
This one right here. We like you to be comfortable.
I just have a simple question,
Okay,
or maybe it's not.
just need to
Thank you.
state your name for the record.
My own name, or what?
Just your name.
Sean Mickley. And I live at 1093 Highway 6 Trail.
Okay.
Victor, Iowa. Where all the jake breaks drive me nuts 365 days a year.
Mhm.
Because we ride to 21. That's a black. But I had a question on the very bottom part of this. It says proposed tax rate. And for urban residents, it's 7.28864, but for rural residents, it's 10.10363. What does that mean, or what is that all about? Why is it for one, 7% or whatever percent or whatever, but for me, because I live in a rural city, it's 10.
Can I show you?
Sure.
Yeah, come over. So there's certain levy rates that are for countywide, which includes if you're incorporated or not, right? Then there's one levy rate that only applies to rural residents. And there's only certain things that we can take out of that, which is secondary road funding that we give to them. And then our rural deputies, our rural law enforcement are the two things that we spend out of that one. So these are all the levy rates that they're using to calculate that. And the general basic, supplemental, pioneer, mental health, debt service, those are the ones that go all across. And then the rural gets added on. Does that make sense? And the rural, the reason why they get tacked on more is because they shouldn't be paying for the things that they shouldn't be paying for the roads and bridges when they're paying for their own in their town. It's the same thing with our law enforcement.
To me, it's not logical, and it's not in standing with the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, the protection, but then that's me. I just was curious about that, and that's the reason I came. I don't, you got to have money, you're probably gonna raise the levy, so.
It's just the way the code has us set up, what you can take and where you have to put everything at. So the idea is that the city people aren't paying the things that are really benefiting the rural people, especially when they're paying for that for their own city.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And the rural's not paying for things within the city.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So not a city
Right.
tax.
Yeah.
So the city levies are lower than the rural levies?
No, they're higher.
I think that's this question you had.
Yeah.
Well, our portion, but the cities are,
I don't think, it doesn't state overall. So if I was in town, what would my levy be?
if you're in town, yours is probably,
I believe that's the question you're shooting for.
Well, I just wondered the difference between around 10, what does the 10 stand for?
yours is probably around
That's your-
$15 per
that's your-
thousand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just from what the county takes. The cities, you don't see what the city adding on to theirs either.
So
This is true. This
the
is,
city.
So they're at 7 on, if you say
They're
they're
at
7, they're probably closer to,
plus whatever.
like closer to 15.
Whatever, the city of Victor or city of
it
Ringo.
could be more.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
It
like-
will- it will
It
be.
probably is.
That's how I understood your question. You look like you're paying more than the cities, but you're really not.
I mean,
Okay, that
Victor-
sounds good.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, because their max levy is 810, so they're probably around 8.
I know Marengo, I know for a fact the city of Marengo is the max.
Well,
810, so it'd be 810 plus whatever.
Plus 7.
7,
And it's more than that because they have a supplemental.
true.
So theirs is like, I think want to say theirs is like their own is 15 foot.
Yeah, because they have a levy.
Okay. Well, expenses, you got insurance, and you got everything else, especially the city roads and streets,
Problems.
snow removal.
Everybody knows the costs are going up. And that's what
Yes.
kills it.
Is that reflective on that sheet?
This is the assessor's office.
There's a board, which
Yeah, the one where you go to appeal your taxes, is that it? Or-
That's different.
It's a different board.
It's a different board.
the appeals
Board.
board or something.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wondered,
The school boards, the mayors, and us have, each entity has one vote, and that's who controls the budgets.
But we don't control the appeals.
We
so
don't
I guess
control
the, well, for the taxation or whatnot, which is probably, it really isn't. Although I think levies and
There's a board review.
taxes that you pay are going at the hip because, they always said, there are two, not idioms, but, the only thing that's real is death and taxes and, so it's kind of frustrating, but at the same time, I understand. I probably will maybe make the school board meeting. Man, that's basically all I had. Anybody else have something to say? You said you want to be a spokesman. but I don't have anything
But as
else.
far as, just to clarify the radio system, so the first
Yeah, I was. wondering
system,
about-
when they put them in there, they took a 15-year bond. There's still 5 years left on that. So us as a board decided when we did it this time, we don't want to saddle a board 10 years down the road,
Like you did.
having another bond that's 5 years left on it, and you're replacing what was on that bond. So
Mm,
we're hopefully fixing that situation down the road. And this other bond that was on it will be off in 5 years. So we'll get us.
Unfortunately, with technology changing, they only support stuff for so long before it's obsolete.
It's obsolete.
You can't get parts for it anymore.
Yeah, it's like,
It still works, could run forever, but no, when it breaks, we're done.
you're done. You can't find parts.
Can't get parts.
Planned obsolescence, I think they call that.
And who knows what it'll be like in 10 years? You could be bouncing everything off satellites.
Yeah.
Yeah, see the future. I guess that's it. Thank you for.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Is there any other things I should say?
It's up to you. You can say as long as you like.
Oh, I've got my question answered. Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm Mary Bomaczka from Amana. I'm overwhelmed now. You're talking another 10% increase this year. You raised it 10% the year before, and you raised it 10% the year before. You've raised the assessed values of our property so you can raise our taxation on our property. As a retired employee, my increases, I don't get a 10% increase per year to pay these. You're sending the senior citizens out of their homes, you're sending them out of everything. Senior citizens can't afford to pay this.
I don't disagree.
You know, you had to have a 10% increase across the board on your salaries a year or so ago. That raised our taxes. You had the assessor come and assess our properties, and that raised our taxes.
We didn't have a 10% wage increase.
It was darn close.
No, we never had 1 year of 10%.
It was 2 years ago.
I'm pulling it up.
Last year we were. zero.
It was hefty. It was hefty,
Last year was 0, the year before was
hefty.
3, year before that. was
Because you gave it
6.
to all the county employees as well as yourself.
No, we've been taking zeros. So,
Prove it.
let's definitely, we need to have some facts.
I would like that proof.
Do you have salary certifications on one thing?
I don't have that with me, but
I can pull them all up, but. So, okay, let's check these, see if we check the tax rates that went up, because I don't think we did 10%.
And I would love a copy of what you just showed the previous gentleman,
Yeah,
if possible.
the tax rate increases, the salaries increases, and there was something else.
Because senior citizens, you know, they can't swallow this. My property taxes are going up 10% a year. And I'm retired on fixed income. I don't get a 10% increase every year. How am I supposed to pay those things?
I get, and I understand your concern, and I've been saying, I think a lot of us have talked about that as well.
And I know the last time I came to one of these 2 years ago when we were in the other room, there was a young couple, an older couple there. And they said they're barely making ends meet. When one of them dies, the other one will not be able to afford to live in their home because they can't afford it. You're driving people out of their homes, yet Iowa County is supposedly one of the cheaper counties to live in, but it's not anymore. You're tax. It is constantly taxing. You've increased the assessor increased the values of all of our homes so they could increase how much they could tax us. Our taxes have jumped immensely in the last 5 years, property taxes. And I will go on, and coming from the Clear Creek District, they just passed a bond issue to build another building, yet now they want more money. And I know it's just a matter of time until they're gonna want another bond issue. They're just sinking deeper and deeper and taxing more and more. And living in Amana, I'm the only community that has to pay their taxes. So we're paying, in Amana, we're paying Johnson County property taxes. And I don't make that kind of money.
You're paying Johnson County school taxes, not property taxes.
Yes, school taxes. Sorry. But I don't, as a retired person, I don't make that kind of money to afford those kind of increases.
So just as I find data, last year we gave 0% raises to everybody except for secondary, or the 2 collective bargaining agreements that we are required to by law. So everyone else in the county,
Electeds.
all the electeds and the other employees got 0%.
But the year before, they got a hefty.
5% for the others, we took 0.
Can you document that?
Yeah, I can, it's all in our salary certification.
That's fine. I would
Yeah.
love a documentation of it.
Yeah. Fiscal year 24.
But while she's looking that up, we have services that we have to provide. Law enforcement, EMS, public health, secondary roads. So if we're not getting revenue from the state or the federal government, we have to get that revenue. Either our departments have to create it or we have to come up with it somehow to pay for it. The things that we aren't mandatory having to fund would be
In-home healthcare.
in-home healthcare, parks and recreation. Those are things that we're not mandated to fund, but we feel the people of Iowa County want to fund those services. So we're trying not, we don't spend any money frivolously. Things just start costing more.
Which brings me back to what I said previously. As a retired person in the county, we can't substantiate all of those increases on a yearly basis. Our Social Security went up 2%, not 8%, not 5%. My taxes went up 10%. How do I make up a difference there?
What do you feel the resolution should be?
Well, and then I'm gonna go one step farther on behalf of a farmer. Farmers cost. I know farmers that are thrown in the towel, they said it ain't worth it because between the fuel costs they're gonna have this year and the seed crops they're gonna have this year, and the fact they had no markets last year, farmers aren't making it. And yet they're gonna have to pay these taxes as well.
So what do you?
Well, I'd like to see things frozen for a few years, just to see things,
Then we'd have,
level out.
we'd have to cut services.
well, then you're gonna have to cut something. Senior citizens can't keep picking up the tab for all this. Do you see where I'm
Yeah, I
coming from?
understand that, but you gotta understand as well that, people are gonna want.
Working class people make a whole lot more than retirees do.
You gotta understand too, that people expect to have EMS there when they need them. They expect to have law enforcement when they need them. They expect their roads to be repaired. The farmers need the roads to be serviceable to take their crops to and from. So,
I do listen to your supervisors' meetings frequently online on Friday mornings, I just felt I had to come over and voice my opinion that, these increases are killing the senior citizen. Now, I don't know if it's this county or all counties. I mean, I got one for another county as a representative, but farmers in the state of Iowa are gonna lose it. And then where are you gonna be when you don't have a farmer to support you?
And I think 4 out of 5 of us farm.
And that's right, but who's buying the farms when we go under?
So I'm just saying,
They're not somebody who's gonna support our tax base because they aren't even in the state of Iowa.
well, I understand your concern about farmers, but I think that we all share those
Share the
concerns.
concerns, I mean.
And I understand your concern about senior citizens. That's what I worry about, because they got 2.9% in social security increase this year, and here property taxes are exceeding that, and I understand. That doesn't pencil out.
And it's year after year after year. It's not just this year, it's year after year.
I understand.
I mean, if the senior citizens fees were only going up the 2%, I mean, okay, so we got a 2.9, but we also, our healthcare went up 40% of that. So we didn't get no 2.9%, we barely got a 1% increase. And, maybe you have to be a little more proportionate about it and not tax the senior citizens as heavily as you're taxing a working class person who is making 50, 60, 70, 100,000 or more.
And that's where the state is trying to go that route. We don't control how people get taxed. The state is actually working on tax proposals to do that.
But it's a long time coming and it's probably not going to happen. So it's all talk.
You're definitely entitled to have that opinion, but that's just out of our.
bless you.
I can tell.
Well, that woke everybody up.
Sorry about that.
I have to say, this year is the most discussion we've seen in the legislatures right now on property taxes in a long time.
Well, they're talking property tax reform at the state level, but Reynolds is on her way out and things aren't going to happen for a year for sure, regardless of who follows her. So that means, and taxes run 18 months behind, so what's going to come down the pike in the next 5 years.
And there again, out of our control.
I realize that, but I have to voice my opinion somewhere.
Yeah.
And it all goes hand in hand. What starts at the school level, goes to the county level, goes to the state level. So you have to voice your opinion somewhere.
Yeah, and I get that.
Some of it starts at the state level, because we have unfunded mandates. The state starts funding and says, we have to do this, we have to do this. They pull all the funding away, and then we're still stuck with the bill that we are forced to carry it out.
Well,
And
and how many of the people in the county know that? And how many people in the county get the numbers and see the statistics that are out there? That's why I asked for a copy of what you just said,
Yeah.
to know how the money is totally divided out.
Well, this is just, what I'm pulling up is our salary certification that we do every year.
Mhm.
So every year we have to do a resolution that sets people's salaries. And I'm just looking at what percent we did.
So overall, what percentage of salaries comes out of our property? Well, it all comes out of our property taxes, the salaries for the county.
Everything except for secondary roads. There's a lot that comes out of fuel tax.
So it all comes out of property taxes.
Mhm. Yes. There's another one that, except for secondary roads.
So can I get a salary history over the last 7 years for the county, period,
We'll have
Across
to
the
print out
board.
those documents for her.
across the board?
The salary certification documents, don't you think?
Get bored, and it's not gonna be, I'll have to take some time.
I know this is just a formality to do this meeting, and I know you spend a fortune to have to do this formality, but it is the one place that the citizens have a place to talk.
Yeah, and I think it's great.
And bring it to, you know, if we just blow it off and say, oh, well, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, then unfortunately, you guys do what you wanna do, and we have no say in it. At least you know there's some disgruntled people out there.
Yeah.
Because all I hear constantly is, oh my God, my taxes went up another 10%. My taxes went up another 10%. You know, and farmers are just screaming because, you know, their taxes are far more than a homeowner's taxes are. And they weren't hardly able to sell a crop last year. And now they're looking at diesel costs that are out of the roof for this year. So a farmer is a losing battle. And as you guys, I guess 4 of you are farm related, but if you're in the farming business, it's an expensive thing.
Oh, I know, trust me, it's not fun right now.
But from looking around this room then, you all have an extra salary to supplement your farm.
Yeah.
Because you have this position or something else. You may even have a full-time job besides this.
I have a business that I own and watch local businesses.
So you can supplement your farm that way.
I've
That's a choice.
learned how to be business savvy and how to make ends meet, and if you have to do that, and if I have to work 4 jobs, I work 4 jobs.
But, you know, but you take a family farm that's been in a farm 50, 60 years, those farmers are 80 and 90 years old now.
I'm married to a 6th-generation family farmer, and so I kind of resent that statement because
I'm a 5th-generation. My grandfather had farms, but I don't have farms. But I'm speaking because the generations of farmers, most of them are in their 80s and 90s now.
True.
Not the young ones who are operating the farms now. The farmers have turned it over to their kids and their grandchildren. But do they make any money off of it? No.
I don't know. I don't know when.
Depends on how they set it up.
Yeah.
I mean, charge, or I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Well,
depends on if they charge the rent, I guess, or what they.
Right.
You know,
The contractor.
that's.
some of those farms are going under because they can't even make it at this point. So I'm just voicing my opinion.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy street for most people. So to keep throwing out, oh, we need to increase for this, we need, you know, that's not an easy
Yeah.
street.
I will say.
And I'm not
You wanna
sure-
give us your address so we can send you, you wanna write down your address so we
Sure.
can send you the documents?
I don't know that I have a solution, but I guess if I had a solution, maybe I'd be running for a supervisor position.
So one thing I would clarify here as well. If we didn't have the debt service levy, our property tax revenue would have only increased 3.5%. Probably less than that because we have the jail bond coming off of that, so that would have been even lower yet. So I would say maybe 3%.
How much is your debt service?
The debt service levy is increasing 653,000 this year.
And that's to cover
Radio stations, the county, fire department, ambulance, sheriff's, police,
the whole county.
the whole county.
Pretty much all of our emergency services in the whole country.
Thank you very much.
And you want salary certification documents for 7 years, right?
For far back as we have.
Preferably.
I only have what I have in my inbox.
Because I just know my taxes have been going up 5 to 10% every year for the last 5 years. And that's a jump when you're retired. That is a jump, you know, and I don't have the income to warrant those.
And yes, and the county's portion has not been all of that, just for the record. You know,
Yeah.
we are typically,
No, I understand
we're
that.
typically the lowest one.
Well, I
and the lowest
understand, as
increase.
I said, you know, being in Amana, we're paying school for Johnson County, we're not paying school for, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that taxes us at a different rate as well.
Well, that particular school district is growing exponentially.
Right.
Mhm. Well, that's why I said it's just a matter, I mean, they want this increase now. It's just a matter of time. They probably have, they have the surtax in effect, and it's just a matter of time till they want another bond issue. It's obvious, it's just, so I mean, yeah, I can go to the school board meeting tonight and say the same spiel because, but you guys don't hear it then. You only hear this side of it.
Right.
But we have no control over them.
Exactly. But you have control over it. You have no control over the Clear Creek
School.
at all.
No.
No,
So then it's a Johnson County question.
no,
No,
it's
it's
a
a
clear
school
board. School board.
Clear Creek School Board.
Yep.
We have nothing to do with
Okay.
what your townships do, with what your cities do, what your school boards do.
But it affects, okay, but it affects our taxes in Iowa
Oh,
County.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because you're in Clear Creek School District.
Exactly.
So like a citizen from Ringo is always a good example. Last year they passed the pool bond and the school bond. So they got double whammy right there for different taxes.
So now if you're in a rural Ringo, you don't pay on the school bond. If you're in the city,
No.
you pay.
Well, you'll pay on the school
You
bond.
pay
I mean, on the
Yeah,
pool
on the
bond.
pool.
Not the pool
On the
bond.
pool bond.
Oh, yeah, you'll pay the school with even in the pool.
Yeah, which, I mean, whether you know.
That's
You're in
countywide.
that
That's
school district.
countywide you have to pay.
You pay for a school somewhere.
Mhm. That's right. You pay somewhere for school.
Yeah, I meant the pools.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's just my concern. I saw this and I go, another increase.
And that document's completely wrong, because it shows that taxes are going up $2 million if you look at that document, because they doubled the debt service, how they run it. It's about $1 million increase, but like I said, 653,000 of that is the debt service.
And what is your projected tax increase from the county level overall this year?
Roughly almost $1 million,
Which is,
What was the percentage?
10%.
So see, you're gonna raise our property taxes 10% again. I mean, I don't live here in Marengo, but I'm gonna have to support some of that in some fashion because I'm in the county.
What do you mean?
Because I have all the services and stuff, I have to support those things. I
The
have to-
county levy?
County, you nothing in Marengo.
but you have the same services that a citizen outside of Marengo would have.
From our purpose.
From what we provide, I mean, or what this county.
We're saying as rural as far as Iowa County is concerned, aren't we?
Right.
Yeah,
Because we're unincorporated, we're
Yeah.
considered rural in Amana, we're not considered city.
It's unique.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yes
right.
and no. Because there's some things you get your own fuel tax and everything that you have your own road fund over there.
We do?
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's.
The state, you're the only entity, I think, in the state that's that way.
Where can I get those numbers?
Engineer has it, I don't have it.
Uh,
off the head.
Department of Management's website will have it.
Which one?
Department of Management. Any question you have on here
We
can be
use
answered.
that money for snow removal over there, road repair, road projects.
It goes all to the secondary roads, correct?
Sidewalk repair.
Sidewalk repairs, little bridge repairs.
There's no sidewalks in that.
That's a big fighting
Yeah.
thing.
All the ones that go down the main drag, we have to
The big
maintain.
project they did, the Main Street project they did.
I thought Amana Society footed that one.
Mm.
That's been us.
That's,
Okay.
So like the cities get fuel tax and the villages get a fuel tax.
Yeah, the Department of Management is doing that for you.
It's based upon population. So even there are no city limits, we have to kind of draw a city limit.
Well, and then there's a new part that they have. I never use it, but.
Department of Management,
Look. It'll take me 1 second. Page.
I'm personally not involved with the Amana Society goings on because I'm considered an outsider, even though I've lived there for 40 years. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not, they have
So-
their own little, whatever.
You can go to, it's called the state property tax dashboard from the Department of Management. And you can compare your community to other communities. You can compare, and it's really easy and user friendly. It doesn't take rocket science to understand it out.
Okay.
But like.
That's a state
Website.
website.
So I can go here and I can do, you guys won't have your own because you're Amana, but if you lived in Marengo, you could compare Marengo to Blazer. You could compare Marengo to the next size in city or whatever it might be. Counties are the same way. So, if I compare, let's see here. So we get compared to Tama County a lot because they're next in size to us. So I can easily get on here.
So you went to the Department of Management, then where'd you go?
State property tax dashboard.
Property tax dashboard.
I got it jotted down already.
And then, so then you can go and just put these in, and so like you can see Iowa County, our assessed property is at has increased 26% since 2018. Tama County's increased 19.6, but then you go to property taxes and we've only increased 24% and they've increased 29. And then our population, you can see everything that you want there.
Okay.
It's a really nice tool.
All right, I can do that. I guess that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for
appreciate it.
coming in.
Sorry you had to hear me
Oh,
complain.
No, it's
that's what
fine.
we're here
That's what it's
for.
for.
Yeah.
I know it's just a formality because it's gonna happen whether we like it or not, but, you know, on behalf of senior citizens and farmers, I think the constant increases are killing them.
I get it. That's why I'm working on those property tax proposals at the state level, so.
Because, you know, fixed income people can't handle those kind of things. I'm done. Your turn.
Anybody else? No. Okay, just want to be sure. Thank you. Is there a motion to go out
So moved,
Second.
public hearing? All in favor, say aye.
right?
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are at a public hearing. I think all we do is adjourn, right? There's no other action taken.
Yeah, we can't discuss anything or do anything.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned.